But then I had like this 4 year lag of struggling where nothing else that I did to try to move myself forward was actually working. I mean, I tried positive reinforcement, I went to therapy, none of that helped. And the only thing that helped for me was this law of attraction work and gratitude practices and the magic. Welcome to the Psychology and Manifestation Podcast with your host, Sudane Firestar. Discover how to tap into the power of science and spirituality, the practical and the magical, to create the life of your dreams on your terms. Let's get into it. Hello, love. Welcome to another episode of the Psychology and Manifestation Podcast with your host, Sudane Firestar. I am so happy you're here. Today's topic is about how to use the power of gratitude to supercharge your manifestations, to manifest the desires of your heart quicker. But before we get into the main topic, let's chit chat. So here's some things I'm loving this week and I'm inspired by this week. The first is Angie Martinez's podcast called IRL. Wow. If you're not familiar with Angie Martinez, she first gained popularity as a radio personality on Hot 97, a radio station in New York City. I'm from New York. I'm a New York girlie. I'm from the Bronx. And then she also was on Power 105. But I haven't really been listening to mainstream radio as of late, like in a few years. You know, after streaming started with music, I got into Pandora, and now I'm a big Spotify person. But I was on, whenever I'm on Facebook, I noticed that these clips of Angie Martinez doing interviews kept popping up in my feed. And I was like, what is this? And it turns out that she has a podcast, which she airs on YouTube if you want to watch the interviews. But she also presents her podcasts, the audio format, on Apple Podcasts, and you could probably see the visuals on Spotify too. I'm not sure. I've never tried to watch her podcast on Spotify, but I'm really, really loving this podcast because it has depth, it has substance, it's fire. She's interviewing a lot of people, rap artists, singers, art, and they can be hip hop artists from the past and the present, like some people who you haven't really seen for a while, or people that, are still on fire and they're very much strong and present. But also she has interviewed people who are just celebrities in general, like actors and actresses too. I believe she's had Taraji P. Henson on. But what I really love is how excellent of an interviewer she is. Like, she creates a safe space for her guests to be really honest and vulnerable, and you get to see all of the layers peeled back like an onion, right? She's peeling back the layers and really getting under the surface to understand their lived experiences. And so there are really interesting topics that are discussed from the perspective of these celebrities based on the kind of questions she's asking them. And so you're talking about mental health, alternative healing methods, therapy, how your energy affects your outcomes, parenthood, relationships, you name it, she's probably covered it there. And there's even an element of manifestation and law of attraction in there. Like I said, she personally was talking about how your energy affects your outcomes in one of her most recent episodes. It's the episode where you can go behind the scenes with her staff, her IRL team, to hear how they answer these questions that she has, like in a bowl. Like, there's a bowl of questions that people can pick and choose from. And during that episode, Angie started talking about how if you're creating something new, like a baby, or you have a project, or you have a business that you're about to launch, that the energy in which you do it matters so much, and that you have to lead with positive energy, because the way that you present it is how other people are going to receive it. So if you're putting that out there with chaotic, anxious, stressed, angry energy or negative vibes, she was saying that this is how people are going to receive whatever you're putting out into the world. And so you're not going to get the result that you really want if you're not leading with the right energy. So she's like, you need to really watch your energy and pay attention to it. So I'm like, she's not just straight up saying that this is law of attraction or manifestation, but that's exactly what it is. And I'm like, wow, this is insane. And in terms of the alternative healing methods, she had this episode with Eve, who's a rapper. if you're not familiar with Eve, but in this episode with Eve was talking about how she has done all of this healing work. I think she talked about therapy, but she also talked about like Reiki and acupuncture. And these are all things that I always grew up with. And when I was growing up with them, they were never mainstream. But now, like, you can even hear people who are, R&B artists or hip hop artists, rappers talking about doing these things. Like Carrie Hilson was talking about she talks about doing this responsibly under the care of a medical provider, a doctor. Like, it was a doctor supervised like shrooms experience where she took shrooms under the medical supervision of a doctor to help cure her depression. And she talks about how that worked for her. So, obviously that's something that you have to do responsibly, but all of this is just really fascinating to me, and I highly recommend that you check out her podcast if you're looking for something new to listen to, in addition to my podcast here, of course. And she mentioned that one of her next episodes is going to feature Cardi B, and I'm here for it, especially as a Bronx girly. One of the other interesting things that happened this week that I was like, wow, was I got a fortune cookie, and it said on it, "Follow your inner truth. It's your compass in life." And that fortune cookie was so aligned with what I'm doing right now and where I am in my life, especially with love attraction, manifestation, spirituality. So I'm like, yes, I'm totally snapping and clapping for that. Then the last thing is that, I've mentioned in the past that I've been doing some coaching work. Like, I have not just me coaching, but also I am being coached. And in one of my group coaching calls with my mentor, Michaela, the topic of not feeling like enough came up in this group coaching session, and feeling inferior to someone else and putting them on a pedestal. Like, who am I to date this person? Or who am I to, apply for this job and get hired for this job? Or, who am I? Or, why would someone want to hire me or, date me or buy whatever it is I'm offering? Like, sometimes it could be this surface level introduction where maybe you don't even know like the hiring manager that well. Maybe you don't even know the person that you're going out on this first date with so well, right? It's like the first time you're really meeting them, but on paper they just seem like this most amazing person, and then you're like, well, look at how great they are. How do I live up to that? But anyway, like, so that was the main topic that led to Michaela making this statement. She was like, yeah, you're manifesting certain things, but someone is manifesting you too. And I was like, wow, like, I felt that in my heart. Like, I felt the warmth in my heart when she said that, and it resonated with me so much. And I was like, yeah. So whatever it is that you're working on manifesting right now, whether you're manifesting a job or, customers or clients, or you're manifesting a spouse, a partner, a baby, just know that there's someone on the other end that's manifesting you too. Like, there could be an unborn baby that's manifesting you. There can be a child who's already been born that is manifesting you to be their adoptive mom, or their foster mom. There could be someone out there who's manifesting you as the candidate they want to hire for this job, or manifesting you to provide a service to them as whatever, like, I don't know, a school psychologist like me, or like a therapist, like, or a coach like me. It could be anything, but just know that there's someone out there for you. There's a job out there for you. You fit the bill for exactly what someone is looking for. So you are enough just the way you are. All right, so let's get into the main part of the episode. Let's go. All right, so as I previously mentioned, today I'm talking about how to use gratitude to supercharge your manifestations. And gratitude is more than just words such as thank you, which can sometimes become automatic. Like, we can be saying the words automatically, and they can potentially become throwaway words because we're so accustomed to saying them. But gratitude is more than just those words. Gratitude is a feeling. So I'm going to be talking about how when you are saying certain words like thank you, or writing the words, that it's really important that you're truly feeling grateful, because that is key to deliberate and conscious manifestation. And there are not only benefits to using gratitude, like according to law of attraction, which I'll get into in a minute, but there are also benefits from a psychology or a psychological perspective. There is evidence and research that indicates that practicing gratitude leads to greater happiness, more happiness and fulfillment in your life, and that it also leads to better physical and mental health. So, aside from the spiritual woo-woo aspect of using gratitude to manifest, gratitude has research-backed and evidence-backed benefits. All right, so when it comes to law of attraction, when you are happier, you are an energetic match for the things that you want to call into your life. And when you appreciate the things that you already have, as opposed to focusing on what's lacking in your life or what you don't have enough of, you are an energetic match for your desires. So happiness and appreciation create the foundation for you to be an energetic match for the things that you want to call into your life. Like attracts like. So how do you do this, right? Well, I'm going to talk to you primarily about the book, The Magic, and the powerful impact that it had on my life in the spring of 2022. And I oftentimes refer to the spring of 2022 as one of the greatest moments in my life or greatest periods in my life. And I first learned about the book, The Magic, which was written by Rhonda Byrne, on Law of Attraction Changed My Life, which is a podcast that is hosted by Francesca Amber. So if you want to go back to the early days of Law of Attraction Changed My Life, I really loved the strategies and practices and the mindset that Francesca Amber talked about on her podcast. So definitely go check that out. But anyway, getting back to it, so she introduced the magic on her podcast, and that's where I first learned about it. And if you're not familiar with Rhonda Byrne, she is the author of The Secret, and you probably by now have heard of the movie The Secret. And even though some people will consider like their encounter with The Secret, the movie or the book, as their first catalyst to being interested in law of attraction, I actually found out about, not that I found out about it, I knew about The Secret, but I didn't watch it until like a significant while after I had already been interested in law of attraction. Anyway, and I still haven't read The Secret. I have seen the movie though. Okay. But the benefit of this book, The Magic, is that it focuses on 28 days of gratitude practices, and it focuses on expressing gratitude in different areas of your life. So that could be health, relationships, money, you name it. And one of the main aspects of the book is writing down 10 things that you're grateful for every single day and why you're grateful for them. So that's, homework piece number 1 early on in the episode, one thing that you can do to start to integrate gratitude practices into your day. So you can start off your day by writing down 10 things that you're grateful for and why you're grateful for them. And that format could vary depending on what it is that you're saying you're grateful for, but you're saying, I'm truly grateful for X because. And adding the because and saying why you're grateful kind of elevates that feeling of gratitude. Like you start to feel gratitude in your body, and it's not just like that you're saying, oh, I'm grateful for this, and you're just like throwing out the words. It's like you're tapping into the feeling of gratitude as well. So as I mentioned, I first did the magic back in March 2022, and this was also a magical period in time because I was pregnant with my daughter. And at that time, I was feeling so abundant. I felt unstoppable. I felt like I was on fire with my manifestations. And so I really had a positive experience using this book to manifest. And one of the most memorable outcomes of doing the practices in the magic was me finishing my dissertation, which had been delayed for about 4 years because of my own mindset and feelings about myself. So instead of finishing my dissertation or just my entire PhD program in the minimum amount of time, which would have been 5 years, it took me 9 years to finish. And I had finished all of the coursework, like the internships, like everything prior to that 9-year marker. But then I had like this 4-year lag of struggling where nothing else that I did to try to move myself forward was actually working. I mean, I tried positive reinforcement. I went to therapy. None of that helped. And the only thing that helped for me was this law of attraction work and gratitude practices and the magic. During those 4 years, I was struggling with perfectionism, low self confidence, and a lot of shame around not having finished on time and just feeling like anything that I had written wasn't good enough. And I was just like, so I would work on my dissertation on and off during those 4 years, but I never felt comfortable sharing the latest drafts of it with my dissertation mentor. And I was like very avoidant, and I just felt like it wasn't good enough. And I used to refer to my dissertation as a patchwork quilt in my head. And I just had a hard time letting it go to even let my dissertation committee look at it, which really hindered my progress. I just didn't believe in myself enough. But then I did the magic and everything changed. Some of the key things that I think made a difference when I was doing the magic were the following. So at the beginning of the book, Rhonda recommends creating a list of your dreams and writing out the details regarding how you want things to be, not how you're going to obtain whatever it is. So in manifestation, the how is not your responsibility. It's your responsibility to focus on the what and the why. What you want and why you want it, because you are co-creating with the universe or God, if you are a believer in God, or it's your angels, your spirit guides, whoever you want to refer to, but you are co-creating. You're not doing this alone. And there could be an infinite number of ways that you could be manifesting whatever it is that you desire. But if you get stuck on the how and you think in your mind that there's only one way of achieving what it is that you want to achieve, it's less likely to happen because you are blocking the pathways that you could take to get to where you want to go. So again, it's more important that you focus on the what and the why when you're creating this list of dreams. And the other part that I don't recall her talking about in the book, and I did skim, well, no, I'm actually doing the magic now, just so that you know, I'm doing it for the second time in full, as I did do it partially last summer, but I am definitely following through this year and doing it in full. I'm feeling it strongly, like it's right for me at this time in my life. But anyway, I don't recall her talking about the tense that you use when you are writing this list. But in law of attraction and manifestation, it's very important for you to talk about things in the present tense or in the past tense. So either that it's happening to you right now, like you've received it right now, or that you've received it in the past. So when you're writing your list, make sure to write it in the present tense or the past tense as if you've already received it, instead of what you think you will have in the future. So don't use the present tense to write the list. And Rhonda recommends constantly adding to this list and crossing things off once you've achieved them. And another part of this that I really felt helped me to finish my dissertation on time was not on time, but to finish my dissertation quickly, because the other part that I haven't mentioned yet is that even though it took me all of this 4 years of like lagging, I actually wound up finishing everything that I needed to get it done in about a month. And I'll talk about the catalyst for that soon. But on day 13 of the magic practices, Rhonda has what's called Make All of Your Dreams Come True. So that's the exercise for day 13 of the magic. Then you create a list of your top 10 desires using this practice. And then you write thank you 3 times for each one as if you've already received that particular desire. So you would say thank you, thank you, thank you for. And then after doing that, you then have to use your imagination. You can use visualization if that's something that you're more familiar with. And you imagine that you receive this, and then you have to tap into the emotion that you're feeling when you received each desire, as well as, who's with you during that moment when you realize that you've manifested whatever it was that you wanted, or who do you reach out to or contact right after you find out about it. And then what is one of the first things that you do after you receive your manifestation? Do you pop a bottle of champagne? Who knows, right? What do you do to celebrate or express the joy that you're feeling upon realizing your manifestation? So I did these three practices that I mentioned to you in addition to so many others, but something really incredible came out of me doing the magic. And I think it was after I did Magic Day 13, but I received an email from one of my dissertation committee members, and I'm telling you, like, it was 4 years. This is over a 4 year period where I was not making substantial progress, and I hadn't really been consistently in touch with anyone from my committee, more so my mentor, than anyone else, but really not my, committee members, because I had two other members on my committee. But then all of a sudden, while I was doing the magic, out of the blue, I get this email, and it's from one of my committee members. Her name is Akane. She goes by her first name rather than doctor. But I got this email from her, and in the subject line, she said, "If you're free during Easter break and want to work together, let me know." And then in the body of the email, she said, "You're so close, and I think working with me for a day or so will help you finish up. Let me know if that is something you're open to. I really just want to see you get your PhD." Oh my gosh, my heart was filled with so much joy. And I knew that this was not just a coincidence. I knew that I manifested it. And I didn't know how I was going to finish my dissertation. But then this magical email comes from Akane, this hand, right? This helping hand comes to me. And one of the other things that she said was that before, and I said, that I would love to meet up. And I was so grateful that she reached out to help me. And she was like, "Okay, well, before we meet, why don't you just send me a draft of your dissertation?" And as I had previously mentioned, I was struggling with sending drafts of this dissertation out. I was being perfectionistic. I didn't want anyone to see it. I was pretty much ashamed of it. I felt like it wasn't good enough. And so I finally get the courage to let go, to take this risk, and just send it to her. And her response blew me away because she said it met the bar for defense, meaning oral defense, because in order to graduate with a PhD, you have to do an oral defense in which you sit in front of your committee members and you present your work from your dissertation and why it's valuable and important. And then you get feedback, and then your committee members decide whether or not you're eligible for graduation, or if you pass your oral defense, whether or not your defense of your dissertation was good enough. And she also said she didn't even think that we needed to meet to review anything. So here I was thinking that my dissertation was a patchwork quilt and that it wasn't good enough. And I had been sitting on at least that draft since at least the fall of 2021, meaning I could have graduated even earlier, because ultimately it turned out that I wasn't going to be able to graduate until August 2022, even though I was allowed to walk in the graduation in May 2022. But I think it was that I didn't meet the deadline for format review for my dissertation. And so that's why I couldn't graduate exactly in May. But I probably could have graduated in May if I had just, had the courage to let go and give it to someone sooner. And who knows, I might have even been able to graduate even before then. But I was standing in my own way because of perfectionism. And that's an episode for another time. But ultimately I did get to graduate. I did get to walk in graduation, and I was pregnant with my daughter, and I had visualized this. There was a period of time where I remember visualizing her and my family being in the audience and my family holding her. But there were some times where I visualized myself walking across the stage, pregnant with her. And ultimately I did get to walk across the stage pregnant with her, and I have these beautiful photos of me pregnant with her. Like, she got to be there for this magical moment in my life, this really proud moment in my life. And I mean, when I was thinking about graduating with my PhD all those years ago, did I ever imagine that I'd be pregnant with my daughter, my dream baby girl, doing this? Like, I never did, but I got to do it. I manifested it. I finished everything I needed to do in about 1 month. And again, I'm pregnant at this time. I'm pulling all-nighters to finish writing certain sections of the dissertation while I'm working full time. I was also writing my oral defense presentation, putting it together like late into the night, doing proper formatting for it so that it could pass format review. And ultimately, I did pass format review on the first attempt. Like I just had to make some small corrections. I filled out all the necessary paperwork that I needed to fill out. So between April and May, like within about 1 month, I did everything. I got my robes at the last minute. I walked in graduation last minute. And since it was so last minute, and my supervisor at work let me go, obviously. Like he was supportive, and I got to go to my graduation and take a day off from work. And since it was so last minute, it's not like I had a ton of people there, but I had people rooting for me and cheering me on. Like the women who were in my cohort, who were my grad school besties, watched me virtually graduate, and that meant the world to me. And that was actually something that I also had on my list for my manifestation, the things that I desired. Like I really wanted them to share in that moment with me, even if they couldn't be there in person. And like they even sent me like screenshots of me graduating, which was so amazing. And I love them so much. And I'm like feeling really, wow, even emotional right now, and kind of tearful thinking about it. And Akane was on the stage with me, like, for my graduation, so she got to share in that moment with me. Like unfortunately, my mentor, like my dissertation mentor, wasn't able to be there for various reasons, and he actually, by the time I finished, was retired. So he did everything, in retirement for me. I was his last student that he just needed to see cross the finish line. And that my dissertation mentor is Dr. Cancelli, who I love deeply. I love Akane deeply too. I love them so much. But yeah, that's my story. I was about 6 months pregnant doing this, and I walked in my graduation when I was around like 7 months pregnant. Oh, I definitely was seven months pregnant. Now that I think about it, the graduation I believe was May 23rd. Like I was definitely 7 months pregnant. So that's the power of gratitude, and how you can use gratitude to manifest the desires of your heart, and even things that up until this point have seemed like out of reach and like impossible. Like nothing is impossible. You can have whatever it is that you want or desire. You can bring it into your life. You can call it into your life. And gratitude is an incredible way to do just that. So let's recap. What are the benefits of expressing gratitude? As I mentioned, there is research back evidence to demonstrate the benefits of expressing gratitude. You get to increase your happiness when you express more gratitude. You also get to improve your physical and mental health when you are more consciously making time to express gratitude in your life. And if you are interested, the Magic is an excellent tool to get you started with daily gratitude practices that focus on the different areas of your life that you may want to manifest in, or that you might want to improve. And you can start with a daily list of 10 gratitude statements. And remember, you're focused on what you're grateful for and why you are grateful for those things. So you could say, I am grateful for such and such because. And then also remember to create a list of desires or a dream list, and constantly update that list and focus on the what and the why rather than the how, and write out as many details as possible in the present or the past tense, so that you know exactly what it is that you want. So you're basically painting a picture of exactly what it is that you want and how you want to feel. Okay? And yeah, and then you also want to make sure that you are conscious of the fact that you are co-creating with the universe, God, your angels, your spirit guides. They're going to help you figure out the how. You don't have to do it alone. You're not going through life alone. And then also pick your top 10 desires, and then say thank you for them 3 times as if you've already received them. Thank you, thank you, thank you for fill in the blank with your desire. And visualize yourself or imagine yourself already having received your desire and how you would feel once you've received it. Who are you talking to about it? Like, who are you celebrating with? Like, who do you tell? Who are you with when you find out that you've manifested the desire of your heart? And then what is one of the first things that you do after you found out that you've manifested whatever it is that you wanted to manifest on your list? And that's it. That's what I have for you today, my love. And if you loved this podcast episode and it helped you in any way, please follow the podcast on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. Please also leave a 5-star review so that I can reach and help more women. I love you, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Bye.